All right. Whoa, that feels weird. Somebody messed with my force feedback, dude? I don't feel anything. Oh boy, save the car. There we go. Let's get one flying lap here before we start. Oh boy, there goes the back end. Alright, so, now that we're done with that, because obviously I cannot play this stupid game for the life of me. Alright, I've got a bottle of water, should be good. Alright, we are here. Final race of the season. How's everybody doing tonight? Should be a fun race. Greetings from the throne. Hello, ayahuasca. How's it going? We've got 25 seconds before we officially for the final round of the season. It's been a hell of a ride this season. I see they're readying up. Yes, they are. You got 10 seconds left. That better be a quick wipe. Anyway. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is time, the season finale of Season 16 of the Midwest F1 League. Tonight we're at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Race day 2016 with 1 point to score. Officially enters the GOAT conversation in Midwest to secure his 5th title. And as well as, which I believe, at least 3rd on the bounce. He's had a phenomenal, and not a season necessarily that I think he'll be overly chuffed about. He has had to work for this one race day, but the consistency that he has had has really set him past everybody else, at least for that's for true anyway. Couple of here and there finishes. I mean, one Bahrain, 4th in China, didn't start Miami. 9th and 5th, Austria and Great Britain. Then a streak of podiums, 3 of which in a row. First at Belgium, second it's Imola, first again in Canada, second in Japan. Is that 8th in Italy, back-to-back wins the Netherlands and Qatar. Saudi Arabia, P10, and 3rd last time out in... Where the hell were we last time out? Oh, that's Australia, round 4. Never, not Austria. Anyway. But race day has the opportunity tonight to do something downright incredible, honestly. I think that's realistically the best way to put it. 4th title on the bounce this will be for race day 2016 if he is to win this evening. 5th title all time. Ties Scornsey on the most titles in Midwest history, and it has to be said, Scornsey we've considered for the longest time to be the greatest of all time here in Midwest F1. Well, there's going to be one more name in that conversation when today is done, assuming race day 2016 can actually finish the Grand Prix tonight. 61 points the gap between that of race day 2016 at the top of the table and that of Fire Up Flow in second. Of course, the maximum points you can score in a round is 62. That by winning the race and taking 2 out of the 3 opportunities for the bonus point. That being either the 1 point for pole, the point for the fastest lap, or the point for hard charger, which is what used to be called driver of the day. Now it's essentially just biggest net gain of position. And obviously, if you get pole, you can't get hard charger, so it's then got to be the fastest lap as well. But either way, what a season that it has been for Fire Up Flow. He has earned his flowers, I tell you what, and it is actually still a good battle for second in this championship. If we look at the battle for second, Fire Up Flow currently sitting on 600 points even. Shankadelic in 3rd at 593, and oh, by the way, Gottney Weeb could be potentially in that battle as well if we do have a fair bit of conundrum. It's absolutely possible. Brian Mosser will get us rolling here in Brazil, in through the Senna S's, the downhill, left and then right corners. Such a difficult section of track that to get right. Curva do Sol, turn 3. Reta Oposta, I believe. Reta Oposta into Dolago, turn 4 and 5. A little bit shallow there on exit. Up through Ferradura, this turn 6. I don't know how to pronounce the next one. I'll ignore that one exists. Turn 7. Turn 8 into the Duck's Beak Pinarino of turn 9. Sorry, well, Bico de Pato. This is the Duck's Beak here. Turn 10. Mergulo, turn 11. Turn 12 of Junsao. This 13. Finally turn 14 and eventually 15 to round out the lap. I think we're going to be seeing times a little bit quicker than what has Brian Mosser put on the board here. It's going to be a 1:09.461. I would assume we're going to see a couple of quickers. But that's going to be the kind of first time lap of the session there. We got one of the Ferraris coming around next. That is that of Gunnar actually beginning his. Mickey 64 making his way out of Zhengzhou and making his way towards the pit straight here, really taking the circuit as close as he can to the inside, as you can tell, and across the line for Nicky, and 109.081. He'll get Brian Mosser by half a second. Gottney Weeb immediately does that one, 108.552. Huge lap from Gottney Weeb. I believe that's the Racing Bull coming up next of Shiraya, goes about a half a second back. McLaren a Fire Flow. Potential to at least lock up second place in the championship tonight, 170 behind that of Gottney Weeb, who is in that battle as well. Mind you, it is 60 points for winning a race, so a bad go of it from Fire Up Flow and potentially even Shankadelic, and Gottney Weeb has himself at least at the very least in the picture. And speaking of Shankadelic, there you go, 108.078, huge for him. He's actually got Gottney Weeb there by 4.5, nearly 5/10 of a second on that opening lap. Great stuff for him. But the man of the hour, race day 2016 across the line, only 3rd, 108.648. Of course, just the 1 point necessary for race day to be crowned the champion. Of course, I'm sure he'd like to have that one happen during the qualifying session here for getting on pole. Because, of course, if Even if let's say he gets that pole position, crashes out, the win, the fastest lap, and the hard charger for Fire Up Flow, Race Day would still have the advantage on the race win tiebreaker. Of course, that is if the shit really hits the fan. I doubt that's going to happen. No offense, Fire Up Flow. And again, we were just saying this about Fire Up Flow as well as Gottney Weeb and Shankadelic. I tell you what, this has been, I think the result is the same, right? Race Day 2016 claiming another title here. This has been a very interesting season of Midwest F1. Cam Tizzle, 108.044. Gets Shankadelic by about 35 one-thousandths of a second there. This has been a very interesting season, to say the least. We've had a lot of good races and a lot of fun moments and stories as well. Of course, the league's 5th anniversary taking place at the Canadian Grand Prix round, of course, wins this season by Race Day. Actually, surprisingly enough, none by Fire Up Flow. Shankadelic with 3 on the season. Win from Cali Robb in Great Britain. Ayahuasca taking Australia and Italy. The win from Cam Tizzle in Japan. Scornsey and Emilia Romagna, and then last time out, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different winners this season? Is that right? Six different winners this season. That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good right there, I'd say. Cam Tizzle, your fastest lap so far. 11 and a half minutes remaining in the session here. Race Day 2016 has invalidated his. I believe this will probably be an in-lap for him. Cali Robb is next up, who I believe is potentially starting one here. Open the telemetry. And yeah, this does appear to be a go here for Cali Robb. Go along with the Ferrari as he makes his way down Redo Oposta. Oposta, either way. Quarter of a tenth quicker through Sector 1. As my dog is yelling at something downstairs, that's phenomenal. Got to weave on another outlap here. 10 minutes 40 remaining in the final qualifying session of the year. Next on the line, I believe, is going to be the McLaren. It's going to be Brian Mosser starting another one. I got the chrome McLaren. Looks pretty damn good, in my opinion. Ferrari coming up next. That is, again, Cali Robb. Still less than a tenth of a second better through Sector 2. It's going to be an improvement here for the Ferrari, but not much. See, across the line for him. And, well, he does jump up to 7th. Half a second, actually. Geez, I was wrong. I think maybe through Sector 3 there. Just kind of had a little bit better. Of course, he was a quarter of a tenth quicker through Sector 1, only about a tenth quicker through, what was it, Sector 2? I guess Sector 3 must have really improved there. Which, again, I mean, it's definitely a difficult part of the corner, this Junsao, and then trying to get acceleration good on the way out. And if you don't get good acceleration there, of course, you're going to be put on the back foot, making the way down the high-speed sector here. 107.993 from Ayahuasca. That's the new pole time to beat, as Cam Tizzle by half a tenth. Fire Up Flow beginning another time lap here, down through the Senna S's. Curva del Sol up next. Clear track ahead of him. His teammate O'Brien Mosser making his way through the final stages of the lap now. He'll be coming up through here shortly. I believe potentially a tow maybe being orchestrated here by the Saubers. That's Ayahuasca. Or it's actually, no, that's actually Travis Scott. Well, I was about to say, if that was the other way around, and that was Ayahuasca ahead of Travis Scott there, and Ayahuasca was to slow down and let Travis Scott along in the tow, that would actually be quite good. That's not the case, however. Is Ayahuasca another flyer? I don't think so. No. Williams got Naweeb out of Junsao. Back on the throttle he goes, and of course making his way through the final stages of the lap now. Aston Martin coming around the line now. That is Element beginning another time lap here. Element, about 9/10 of a second off. Gottney Weeb, I believe, is this going to be a starting lap from him here? He's thrown the recharge back on. Fire Up Flow has gone 4th, about a third of a second behind now. Not bad for him. Top 3 within a 10th of a second. And, of course, Fire Up Flow in the mix as well as Gunner, as well as Gottney Weeb. And Race Day 2016, a little bit on the outside looking in here, but still with about 8.5 minutes to go. It's not going to be necessarily too much of a worry for him. Kelly Robin validated. Shariah making his way on an outlap now. Ryan Mosser, this will be the end of the go for him. Scornsy on a flyer now in through Sector 1, way down to the inside. And I say on a flyer, is he? It doesn't appear to be. Houdini and Lancey, the only two drivers yet to put a time on the board. Ayahuasca does look quicker through Sector 2. And through the final paces of the lap now, let's see where Ayahuasca can put this car. Way down to the inside and across the line for Ayahuasca, and 1:07.824. And that's got his previous time by about 0.2 of a second there. Nicely done for Ayahuasca, and now he finds himself with a little bit of breathing room here with 7 minutes 20 remaining in the qualifying session. Shankadelic around the final stage of the lap. That's a good lap from Shankadelic, 1:07.49. And that'll get Ayahuasca by 0.3 of a second now. Hell of a lap there from Shankadelic, and we kind of went on board with him for the final stage of the lap there. And I could sometimes when you do this casting thing long enough, you can actually start to tell just by looking at the time if the lap is going to be close or not. And I was like, this is a good lap, and absolutely it was for Shankadelic. Top of the table for the time being. Cam Tizzle on an outlap now. Element currently P5. Not sure if he's on a flyer. Let's see, he'll be coming up through the Sector 2 timing line here rather shortly. 6 minutes 35 remaining in the session, and nope, this is not going to be a flyer here for Element. Race day still in the pit lane, 6 minutes 30. Shariah will go 9th, improves on his previous time by about 0.4. Sauber of Travis Scott round the line. If he has improved, it hasn't helped him. Williams of Weeb coming up next, 5th for Weeb. 1:08.386 improves by a good little amount there, gets himself into the top 5. As next round of the line is going to be one of the Red Bulls. That's Shankadelic into the pit lane. His teammates of Scornsy coming around the final stage of the lap now. And Scornsy, yet will absolutely be coming to a conclusion here. Good-looking lap from Scornsy. Gets himself second. 1:07.586, and that is 4/100ths of a second between the two Red Bulls, who have now, at least for the time being, locked out the first row. That's an incredible stat to be having there. Just wondering why we haven't seen race day back out on track. I haven't been necessarily pinged as if he needs another invite or not. I don't know. He's having slight difficulty connecting, getting into the lobby to begin with. Going around the line now, I believe, is the Aston Martin. That's Cam Tizzle. I believe has actually improved. Yes, he has. He'll get himself now within 0.3 of a second of the top spot. Still remains in 4th. Race day 2016, finally back out on track here. Making his way through Sector 2. Next up around the line, I believe, is going to be one of the McLarens. It's going to be that of Brian Mosser beginning a new one, as well as the Haas of Houdini with his first-time attempt of the session. Also on track, we've got Travis Scott and Ayahuasca, both of the Saubers. Travis Scott, I do not believe this is a flying lap from him. As you can see, the recharge lights on there. Race day 2016 making his way through Bico de Pato here. So both Saubers, an Aston Martin, a McLaren, a Haas, and a Ferrari, and now it looks to be an Alpine making his way on the circuit as well. That is Nicky 64 on the way out. But here's race day 2016 on the precipice of winning his 5th title and 4th on the bounce. 1 point is all it will take. 4 minutes 5 remaining in the session. And we're going to go along with him here to see this potentially good time lap. Let's see, race day in towards the Senna S is here. A little bit earlier on the brakes, keeps it close to the inside. Back on throttle, got to try your best not to invalidate here, and, well, that has not ended in a good way. Race day 2016 invalidates. And that'll be the end of his time lap. I think he'll probably... Knowing race day, he's put at least 2 runs of fuel in the car here, and, you know, that is absolutely a new set of soft tires. He'll probably have, you know, made his plans here, and, you know, he could probably just chill for the rest of this lap, keep your tires up to temperature without as much wear, and then get ready to go again when he gets back round to the line. No, you bot. I do not want cheap followers. Nicky 64 will be beginning a time lap here. And across the line from him. And here we go. One of the most veteran drivers in Midwest F1. That is that of Nicky64. Let's see what he's got here. The inside, and oh, he is apparently backed off here, Nicky. Little odd. I don't know what the deal was with that. He has decided to back off on his lap going through Curva del Sol turn 3. Slightly odd. Brian Mosser was behind him. Maybe just wanted to stay out of his way. That doesn't really make sense, does it? Race day 2016 on another flyer here after having invalidated his previous attempt on the inside of Curva del Sol. Through Sector 1, only half a tenth quicker. I think the majority of the time here is going to have to be made up through Sector 2. Sector 3 is very straightforward. Just the one exit of Jun Sao and getting on throttle quick as you can. This is where the time is going to be made up on this lap. 2 minutes 10 remaining. Say what's a good-looking lap here so far from race day. Bico de Pato exits nicely. Turn 11 and down the hill, up to the timing line, and he is quicker by 2.5 tenths of a second. This will get him closer to the top, but I think he's going to need quite a lot here through this third sector to be able to make that happen. Maybe potentially has he gone low wings, and that's kind of, what he's going after. DRS activated and across the line, and no, this is going to be, well, it's going to be good for fifth. 108.286 has improved by about 4 tenths of a second. 90 seconds remaining in the session. And race day 2016, I don't think he's going to be on for pole here. It does not look like he's going to do it unless does he have a third lap of fuel in the car. I'm slightly surprised if he did. Shankadelic has invalidated and across the line for him. I believe this will be the flyer. And Scornsy not all that far behind either. Ayahuasca and Cam Tizzle also kind of on their way. Oh, look at this! Scornsy side by side. That is with the Aston Martin of Element there. Through the initial offering of the Senna S's, Element was on the inside and did not give Scornsy any room. And you'd have to think that's going to end the qualifying session for Scornsy. He's got 50 seconds to make his way back around the circuit. That is a cut and dry time lap impediment there by the Aston Martin of Element. Huge, huge moment there. And that will pretty much open the door for Shankadelic to be able to keep pole position. 30 seconds remaining, and that was just such a massive turn of events. As again, I think the front row lockout's still on here, but it'll be difficult to see. Race day 2016 is beginning another lap here. He has the fuel, he has the tires, according to himself, and he's going to have the opportunity to get this one done, as Shankadelic is now backed off. What's happened here? Oh, he's about on low fuel as well. Unless is this the beginning of another one. I don't see how it could be. Scornsy does not improve. Ayahuasca on the flyer now. Aston Martin of Element 9th. Ferrari coming around the line now. That's Calais Robb up to 6th. We've got the pair of the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls making their way down the pit straight. It's going to be 6th for Shiraya, 17th for Lancey. He hasn't improved to heart one bit. Nicky64 through the final stages of the lap now into the pit lane. We've got the Sauber of Travis Scott making his way in through the final paces. Cake Thomas not all that far behind, but this will not be a flyer from Cake. Nicky has retired. Williams of Gottney Weeb up next. And behind him, the all-important Mercedes of Race Day, who is a 10.5 quicker through Sector 2, making his way now in through the final paces of the lap. I don't think this is going to be enough here for Race Day. Across the line, and he's going to be 7th. 108.101. Not an improvement there, but it is for Ayahuasca, 107.428, and will deny the Red Bull team of the front row lockout that it was very much convincingly looking like they were going to have. Cam Tizzle is retired on track. Element and Just Round next. That is going to do it for the end of the session. Ayahuasca, your pole sitter. Shankadelic 2nd. Scornsy 3rd. 4th belongs to Cam Tizzle. 5th for Weeb. 6th for Shiraya. 7th for Race Day. He was hoping for better. 8th, Callie Robb. 9th, Fireflow. And 10th is going to be that of Nicky64. Very competitive top 10 here, especially the top 3 within a 10.5 of all of each other. That is a huge, huge look for this race. And so to the rest of the grid looks like this after the top 10. Element will be 11th, the final car within a second of the pole time. Gunner 12th. 13th will be Cake. 14th, Travis Scott. 15th will belong to Houdini. 16th, Brian Mosser. Rounding out the grid, P17 is the Dutchman of Lancey in the Visa Cash App Racing Bowl. Race day 2016, again, needs 1 point to claim the title. Fire Up Flow needs to hope for the worst. Win, and then an additional 2 points on top of that. We've seen crazier things here in Midwest. It's a mountain to climb. Ayahuasca, your pole sitter. What a lap from him. And, of course, we begin our race session with the Brazilian national anthem. Very good, and here we are. Wow, that was perfect timing, wasn't it? Formation lap on the way. Ayahuasca, your pole sitter, he'll have the outside into the first corner on this one. Look at the tire strategy. Top 5 cars, all in the medium tires. Shariah and Race Day, 6th and 7th, have gone hard for the evening. Cali Rob, Fire Flow, Nikki 64, and Element also on the mediums. Everybody else outside the top 11, save for that if Houdini is on the hard tires. Doesn't appear that we have any rain on the way for this one. Not that I've been directed to. There's your pit stop window, 13 to 20 for the hard to the mediums. Game again claiming that it's going to be a 2-stop race here. No guarantees. I'd like to see that. I don't quite think that's going to happen. Nowadays, these cars really aren't 2-stoppers. But again, just the 1 point for Race Day 2016 to claim his 4th title on the bounce. And to make it 5 all-time. What a career that this guy's had. And you know as well, after having won that first title back in F1 22, there was a lot of time where, you know, he kind of necessarily wasn't in the rhythm to win another title, and he has eventually got it back, and he's absolutely gone and ran with it here. And, well, should he win this title today, he's thoroughly deserved it. Ayahuasca, again, he'll have the outside line going into turn 1. Shankadelic on the inside. Now, Shankadelic will pretty much have that advantage, being on the inside of the grid here. You know, he'll have the inside of turn 1, obviously through turn 2 on the inside of the Senna S. Am I wrong about that? Yeah, no, I'm correct. Of course, in the second phase of the Senna S, he'll be on the outside, but then back to the inside of Curva del Sol. Of course, won't have as good acceleration around the outside, but still, it won't be a bad look. As the rest of the grid forming up, we take a moment to crack open a cold one with the boys. Oh, yeah. This is Captain Morgan Strawberry Margarita. Not a big fan of strawberries, not a big fan of margaritas either, but let's have a go. That's actually pretty freaking good. Lights turning on here, final race of the season. 16 seasons of Midwest F1, and it's lights out and away we go. Ayahuasca gets off the line pretty well. That was the Aston Martin of Cam Tizzle who tried to get into the middle, and look at this. It actually wasn't Ayahuasca who got away the best. It was that of Shankadelic to the top spot. Ayahuasca now falling back. Who's that there at the back that somebody has spun round? Not entirely sure. Ayahuasca has dropped down to third. The Red Bulls have reclaimed their spot at the top of the grid, and now it's Fire Up Flo and Cali Rob side by side, making their way into Dolago here, and the Ferrari has gotten his way to the inside. And of course, we have as well behind, that's Houdini and Shiraya Coleslaw. Look at this three-car battle happening here. The Alpine swapping places around as well. Side by side, wheel to wheel. Travis Scott on the inside. Houdini, maybe a little bit of contact there. It doesn't appear that's anything too ridiculous has happened. Still side by side. Good looking battle this. We go back to the top of the grid where Shankadelic has a half a second advantage over Scornsey, who's got 3/10 over Ayahuasca and gotten Weeb in a world of hurt as Cam Tizzle, Race Day, and Kelly Robb right there amongst them trying to make ends meet. We'll have another look on back here. Shiraya around the outside of Travis Scott through 11. That is a huge move there for Shiraya. The amount of traction that you don't get going through that section of the track and to be able to make that move happen around the outside, that's huge. As we now have Travis Scott losing even more position, as now it's Element and Brian Moster making the way around. I think Element was one of the drivers to have gone off there in the early stages. He's down 5, Shiraya down 8. And Ayahuasca, who looked as if he had gotten off the line well, was then immediately taken to turn 1 by both Red Bull drivers. I don't know what happened with him to have lost those spots almost as immediately as he did. Brian Moster will file back in behind Element, making their way into Dolago as Shankadelic leads his teammate now only by 3.5 of a second. Ayahuasca in this picture as well. 2.5 of a second here between the top two, and I don't expect much battling to happen between them. Of course, Shankadelic could still win this title today, as well as Gottney Weeb. Fire Up Flo led Shankadelic by 7 points coming into this one, and obviously with the results, if they are to hold at this rate, then obviously he would take the second place of the driver's title, but there's Scornsey down to the inside, and he's going to take the top spot now. Yep, Fire Up Flo ahead of Shank only by 7 points. Point structure works like this. 7 points could be the difference of second. Second down to, what is that, 4th? Yep. 10th of a second now, Ayahuasca back down to Shankadelic, and he's not quite going to get there. As we file on back, we might have a close one brewing between Gunnar and Nicky. No, not quite. Ayahuasca's still doing his best to wondering why the big losses off the start for Shiraya and Element. I mean, we saw a couple of cars had gone round, going through the initial stages of the lap, but no real indication as to why that happened. As Scornsey, it's a 1:10.728 for him. Race Day was looking to get to the back end of Cam Tizzle for the 5th position. Couldn't quite get it done. Out of Curva do Sol, and it looks as if, well, Shankadelic's going to get the DRS to his teammate ahead. Albeit only just. 0.2 of a second the gap. Ayahuasca still not able. Nor is Cam Tizzle to... oh, what's happened here? I think Shankadelic, something must have happened with him. Yeah, that car is slow going through this stage of the lap. He was Ayahuasca was 0.4 of a second behind on the way into Delago. I think Shankadelic may have dropped it on his own. He doesn't appear to have hit anything, but Ayahuasca now takes the second position. Bit of an odd place to lose the car that. I think maybe getting on throttle, exiting the corner. That car was, of course, well to the inside of the track, which typically, coming off that corner of Delago, of turn 4, you're not that far to the inside. Usually the car will naturally want to push and almost try to go over track limits, and I'm assuming maybe did the car get a bit unhappy going over the curb? I'm not sure. But what I am sure of is this: Race Day 2016, 10th and a half behind Cam Tizzle. Files in behind, of course, Cam Tizzle with DRS to Gottney Weeb ahead. Big ones this for Gottney Weeb and Shankadelic. Just, of course, Fire Up Flo back in 9th. This is huge for Shankadelic. Could take second of the championship with this result here. DRS activated again. Will Gottney Weeb have anything on Shankadelic? Of course, these are the two drivers in that battle for the second position, along with Fire Up Flow. And, oh, Gottney Weeb's going to go a little bit wide there. We got a yellow flag. That's the McLaren of Brian Mosser having gone around at the back. Don't know what he's hit, if anything, but that car has got itself unhappy and is, of course, corrected course here. Lancey side by side now with Fire Up Flow up in towards turn number 8, this side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel, and I believe there was contact made there as the McLaren had temporarily ghosted. So Lancey up to 9th, Fire Up Flow down to 10th. It's all kicking off here for Fire Up Flow, and in the negative direction as well. Four-tenth of a second for race day. To the back end of Gottney Weeb. Making their way through Sector 3 now. Again, with the DRS train that is currently present, I don't believe we're going to be seeing many dives in towards that first corner. I think realistically, there is going to have to be some sort of separation for these overtakes to begin happening, in the sense of Gottney Weeb is now outside of DRS to that of Shankadelic. It could happen here for Cam Tizzle, and I believe Weeb does not have DRS, but is still making a competitive time here, as Cam Tizzle was really not even remotely close to making that overtake happen. Race day ready to pounce here, as Cam Tizzle had a little bit of an error exiting turn 5. Kind of recaught control and is now in control of his own destiny here. Still just a 3/10 of a second in it between the two. We'll have another quick look at the tire strategy. Again, the top 5, all in the medium tire. Race day 2016. On the hards. Pretty much everybody outside the top 10 was on the hards. Did have some medium runners sprinkled in throughout, but yeah. Ten drivers on the medium, 7 on the hards. 3-second penalty for Brian Mosser already, having, I believe, gone off somewhere along the line. Here's race day. Cam Tizzle defends the inside. Race day will try to go the long way around through turn number 1. Has to be later on the brakes. Still wheel to wheel, side by side. And Cam Tizzle will pull ahead for the time being. Of course, race day doesn't really want any unnecessary risks here. He only has to score 1 point to secure the title. Heart rate goes up just a little bit, knowing that something could go wrong, and it hasn't, thankfully. Ayahuasca within now 0.8 of a second on Scornsy. Scornsy initially had gotten off to a pretty good advantage over the rest of the top 3. Since then, he's lost, was it about 0.5 of a second back to Ayahuasca. Ayahuasca, in fairness to him, has actually put a considerable amount of time back to Shankadelic, and Gottney Weeb has taken about 2 to 3/10 off the back with a Red Bull ahead of him. So Ayahuasca will have DRS on Scornsy this time. That wasn't a clean corner there for Ayahuasca. That car almost felt like it was pushing on the way in. It is what it kind of looked like. He will have DRS here. Just a couple of ticks of the clock within that second. But Scornsy, look at the pace he's pulling. Even without DRS, he is totally pulling Ayahuasca into that first corner. Look at the race day 2016 again. Through the Senna S's, right up along the back end there of Cam Tizzle, through Curva del Sol. DRS and energy being used. Trying the outside, no dice, not now. Maybe a little bit of contact there with the right rear tire of that of Cam Tizzle. Definitely not enough for wing damage nor anything to complain about necessarily as Cam Tizzle is concerned. 3.5 Gunner trying to reel in the Alpine of Nicky 64s. That's Kelly Robb. Kelly Robb is at an off. That's in towards turn, turn 8. And that car appears to have slid under braking. Maybe what he could have done, and we'll go along with Brian Mosser to describe what he possibly could have done here, is up through this transition at the top of the hill. Has he gone in a little too hot, gone over the curb, and the car got unsettled there on the outside? That is possible. Definitely a possibility that could have happened. And now, that's Cam Tizzle into the pit lane. We were expecting the overtake there, but no. Oh, and Cam Tizzle a tenner for speeding into the pit lane. The first of what appears to be strategical stops of those of the medium tire. Such a crucial penalty there for Cam Tizzle, and that's going to not even be served on. This one will be served on his next pit stop. So unfortunate for him, and again, with the amount of speed that you are pulling down that pit straight to get into the pit lane there's not a lot of room for braking, and I think he's kind of found the immediate basis of that argument. As we do have, what is this now, Travis Scott within a couple of tenths here of Shariah as well. We do have Houdini and Gunner battling it out, and actually Houdini's kind of jumped into the back end of that battle for the 10th position of Nikki 64. Lancey's gotten around Cake. Yes, he has. Lancey's gotten around Cake to the inside of turn 9, in towards Vico de Pazzo, and yeah, Lancey's going to hold on to this one. Shame we didn't see that. Slightly out of nowhere, that one fell. But Lancey up to the 6th position now. Gotney Weave, 0.5 of a second to the back end of Shankadelic. Race day in this picture as well. That will be into the pit lane now for Gotney Weave. First of the strategical stops happening here for those of the medium tires. Assuming the hard's going on here, I'd be surprised if anything else. And yep, hard tires it is. Good little 3-car battle this here. Gunner 0.3 of a second behind Nicky. Houdini 0.3 of a second behind him. I don't necessarily believe Nicky's going to be challenged this time by him. Potentially a challenge we could have. Travis Scott to the back end of Shariah going in through turn 4. And that Sauber's going to push quite high in through the turning phase of that corner. Kind of expected him to be a little bit closer there. That wasn't the case. Gunner was within a 1/10.5 there. Momentarily, he's since backed off, but still kind of right in the mix. 0.6 of a second. Kate Thomas back to Lancey. And, of course, Houdini in on this battle as well. With, as we said, behind Travis Scott trying to put the pressure on Shariah. Looks as if that's the Aston Martin's swapping position here. The Gunner right up the back end of Nicky here. In through Sector 3, DRS will be activated here momentarily. Energy store being used. This for the 7th position. Of course, Gunner on the hard tires. Those will be better at this stage. Houdini watches on, a little bit far behind for this one, and Nikki 64 defended that quite well. Gunner wanted it around the outside. Nicky had some room to play with and chose to defend that high line, and that has prevented the overtake from happening. And even still, it's not going to happen now. Travis Scott, however, could have a look at Shariah here. Tucks back within the slipstream of the Racing Bull here. Now round the outside is going to be the effort of the Sauber in question. He'll have to try to maybe cut back to the inside, and no, he's not going to get the takeoff out of turn 4 like he had hoped, and he'll have to wait another day for that one. Meanwhile, top of the grid, Scornsy has gotten back to a 1.5 gap back to Ayahuasca. It was about 0.8 of a second. Only just a couple of laps ago, and it since got itself back up to now almost 2 seconds. Though again, I would expect some of these guys in the mediums to be pitting here very shortly. We've had a couple of strategical stops, only 3 of which. And here's going to be number 4 as Scornsy makes his way in. Ayahuasca will stay out once more, Shankadelic as well. That'll put Race Day up to the 3rd spot. Scornsy, where will he drop to? Is the pit stop for him. A couple more cars entering the pit lane now. We got the Alpine of Nikki 64, Houdini, and I believe that's Travis Scott as well, all on the way in. Race Day's gotten around Shankadelic in towards turn 4. Yes, he has. With DRS, he's made that move happen to the inside. Nicely done there for Race Day. Scornsy's going to exit the pit lane here, having to defend from Gotney Weave. Well, I thought that was camera angle was slightly deceiving there. I thought it was much closer. Shankadelic 0.6 of a second, of course, will start to fall back. Those medium tires definitely not hot for the time being. Kate Thomas and Lancey, this could be a good battle. 0.7 of a second. Of course, Lancey made that move happen not too long ago. We have a yellow flag that was coming out of Curva del Sol. I believe that was, again, the McLaren of Brian Moss or something had happened with him. Just waiting for the stops here. And Ayahuasca into the pit. No, he isn't. A little surprised that we're seeing Ayahuasca and Shankadelic take these strategies a little bit further. Big dive there from Lancey to the inside of the Senna S turn 1, and that was a fantastic move from the Dutchman. Brilliant stuff there. Slightly out of the blue as well. I didn't quite expect... I wouldn't even really classify that as a lunge, but he's absolutely made it happen, hasn't he? Brilliant stuff. Cam Tizzle and Scornsy now side by side through Curva del Sol. Pretty much equal on the tire strategy here. Of course, 4-lap-old hards for Cam Tizzle now. He is the first of the medium tire runners to stop. Scornsy has just pit moments ago. Bit of a switch back there for Scornsy as Cam Tizzle goes a little bit late on the brakes, pushes up the circuit. Scornsy now to the left side, wheel to wheel, heading up the hill. Oh, goodness me, this one's a bit close. What a part of the track to go side by side through, and it's still... And eventually Scornsy does back off a little bit there. Goodness me, what a battle we've just had. That was definitely quite close between them, and I'm a little surprised Scornsy wasn't able to carry the momentum there in through turn 8 in towards 9. As Ayahuasca into the pit lane now. Shankadelica stayed out an additional lap. Shank apparently liking those medium tires he currently resides on. Fastest lap of the day does belong to Scornsy, 1:10.7.28. As Ayahuasca into the pit lane, fresh, hard tires for him. The Racing Bull of Shariah making his presence known in the pit lane as well. Good little battle happening towards the back here. Here's Houdini around the outside. Travis Scott watches on. And Gunner is going to be taken advantage of there by the Haas. Nicely done. 4-car battle this as Nicky64 leads the charge in the 12th position. Of course, all 4 of these drivers involved on fresh tires. Nicky64 really having to defend here from Houdini. Of course, these two, again, on equal tire strategy. Both the 5-lap-old medium tires up the hill now through turns 6 and 7. Houdini was looking for a bit of a dive there. Couldn't quite find the real estate to make it happen. We'll check back with them in a little bit. Cake Thomas, 2/10 of a second. And the reason he's 2/10 of a second, Shankadelic into the pit lane. As Lancey's got a tenner for speeding in. Yes, he does. And we do also have an Aston Martin who's gone off. That's that of Element. Trimming the grass, exiting Vico de Pazzo as he's gotten back on the circuit. And he has hit something. He's missing the end plate on the left side of the front wing there. That is a terrible misfortune for him. And I just wonder where that incident has taken place. He's off to the inside of turn 10. But I wonder, maybe has he lost it coming out of 9, hit the wall on the left side, and kind of took to the outside of it? No, that wouldn't make any sense, would it? I don't know. Tough question for him, but 14-lap-old medium tires would be a scheduled stop for him anyway. Unfortunately, now it's well far down the grid. Lancey to the inside of Fire Up Flow, exiting turn 5, and he's made that one happen. Lancey's had a hell of a lot of good maneuvers today, although I believe has picked up 10 seconds for speeding the pit lane. Yes, he has. That was rather recently he's done that. Kelly Robb in position here, trying to find his way around the McLaren of Fire Up Flow. It's not quite going to happen. Only just the 2 cars on track having yet to stop, and there goes one of them. Championship leader Race Day into the pit lane. Again, just has to score 1 point tonight, and he will be champion. And into the box for him. Let's see what the strategy will be. And it will be on to the medium tires. Cake Thomas now has stayed out. Of course, started the race on the hard tires, 15-lap-old hard tires. Now, the game has said that this is a 2-stop race. I don't believe that. I think we will see more drivers than not take this a 1-stopper. I could be wrong. And quite frankly, I'd like to see myself wrong here. An extra little bit of strategy never hurt nobody. Tell you what, Race Day is going to be side by side exiting the pit lane here, right in behind Fire Up Flow. He's kind of joined this battle between Fire Up Flow and Callie Robb for the 7th position. Has kind of invited himself there. Callie Robb has slightly dropped off the back of this battle now, about 0.5 of a second behind. Bit of a lock-up there. Race Day right on the back end, still in the McLaren. Bit of a wiggle there for Fire Up Flow. Through turn 9. And again now through turn 10. And even still, Race Day slightly cautious on those medium tires. Again, doesn't have to really do too much. He's just got to keep clean this race. Cake Thomas into the pit lane now. And to the inside for Race Day 2016, and he'll have that one on Fire Up Flow. Fire Up tucks back within line. I don't think we're going to be seeing a retaliation overtake here. I don't think he's going to be close enough. Nope. 3/10 of a second here between Houdini and Nicky. Houdini's got a hell of a run here on Nicky 64. Will swerve way down to the inside. That car was all bent out of shape, making his way into the braking zone. But what a ballsy dive that was for Houdini. And as well behind, that was a move I think Travis Scott was having to defend from both Gunnar and Shariah in that one as well. But Houdini, what actually almost initially seemed a last-minute decision to choose the inside lane into the corner, and he's made it happen. Up to 11th. And now Travis trying to attack Nicky as much as he possibly can here. Nicky 2/10 of a second, 2.5 tenths behind the Haas. Just not quite going to be close enough to make anything happen for the time being. Travis Scott way down to the inside, nearly all 4 tires on the grass on the inside of that corner. Yeah, well, a lot of good battles outside the top 10 here. All the usual suspects within the top 10, you know, kind of making their presence known. But everybody outside the top 10, we got a lot of battles for position, and there you go. Now, race day 2016 with the fastest lap. Now that point isn't secured until the end of the race, obviously, but for now, that is just the 1 point he'll need. And of course, wherever he finishes as well. But I think crucially as well, as we now see Cali Rob to the inside of Fire Up Flow, the biggest position here, it's got to be that of Shankadelic and Fire Up Flow. Again, for second place in the championship, only 7 points separate these two. And again as well, Godney Weeb was a little bit further out of contention of this battle, but he is right there as well. We look at the point standings. Godney Weeb currently 4th. 24 points behind Fire Up Flow in 2nd. And right now outperforming himself, outperforming Fire Up Flow and Shankadelic. Godney Weeb currently 3rd. Worth 52 points. So he will currently outscore Fire Up Flow by 12. He'll outscore Shankadelic by 14. It won't be enough. And there goes Fire Up Flow to the inside of Cali Robin towards turn 1. Want a little bit of contact there from Shankadelic again. For Shankadelic to take second place in the championship, he's got to outscore Fire Up Flow by 8 points. As we have a yellow flag, that is Brian Mosser having a bit of an off somewhere. Cali Rob was once again alongside Fire Up Flow, didn't quite have the position to make that one happen, as Nicky 64 and Houdini still side by side. Contact there in through turn 4, as Gunnar will also as well kind of pull the same move on Shariah Coleslaw. Maybe a little bit of contact there between them. As now up the hill, oh boy, these guys are still right close together here. We'll stick with these two side by side now. Ferrari of Gunnar on the outside, it's Shariah on the inside, and now heading in towards turn 9, and the Ferrari still down low. Beautiful racing this, wheel to wheel, exiting turn 9 and in towards 10. Finally, Shariah has made that one happen. Only just and only for now. We'll check back with them in a minute. Race day 2016 is right close here to taking Lancey for the 5th position. Oh, I think he's a little bit too far out of the way. Oh, he's going to try the late break rally outside. Either that or maybe Lancey, did he go a little bit early? Tough to tell. But now DRS activated, exiting Curva del Sol. Lancey leads, chooses to defend the inside. I think race day a little bit far out of the way. Doesn't need to worry too much about having this move get made here. 1/10 of a second. Shankadelic 2/10 behind that of Fire Up Flow. This is for the 8th position, and again, huge battle between these two in the grand scheme of things for second in the championship. That'd be quite an achievement for any of the drivers involved. But as well, Godney Weeb putting himself in that position. I think for now, Godney Weeb, with this result, could potentially get himself into 3rd. Sits 4th on the way into today's race. Race day 2016 now, 2/10 of a second. Following in behind the Dutchman of Lancey in 5th position. Of course, Lancey as well. 10-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Scornsey leads. Race day files in behind, tries it round the outside. Bit of a lockup there from somebody. Still wheel to wheel. And oh no, that's contact there. Oh, you could almost say Lancey's race days forced him off. They were side by side heading down the hill of the Senna S's. And I think Race Days let him have that spot back because he did really not give Lancey enough room there. But he's made the good decision, and those two will continue racing. And they were side-by-side going through turn 1. And that car of Race Day naturally pushed to the inside, and of course, that did not allow Lancey to make the corner. He has, I believe that was seating position in towards Interlagos turn 4. I could be wrong. Of course, he is still right there on him, but at least that spot has been given back to that of Lancey. Great battle between the two either way. Here's Cali Rob now to the inside of Fire Up Flow. This is a big one here. Fire Up Flow has now lost 2 seconds to the back end of Shankadelic. And of course, Cake Thomas looking in on this battle as well. 8th, 9th, and 10th making their way with DRS, and now way down to the inside is Cali Rob, and he'll make that one happen. And now Cake Thomas wants it, and Cake Thomas around the outside of Cali Rob. It's a double overtake for Cake. Brilliant stuff. Into P8 for Cake Thomas. Started that one on the outside looking in. Cali Rob made the move around Fire Up Flow. Cake Thomas said, thank you very much. I'll be having that as well. And that's exactly what he's done. Cake Thomas up to 8th. Brilliant move. And meanwhile, Nicky 64, the other Alpine, kind of in position here. Trying to find a move on that of Houdini. Not quite close enough to make anything happen, but we'll keep an eye on that. Race Day again on that of Lancey. Again, we think there's going to be at least one more stop here for those currently on the medium tires. A big slide again for Race Day. Yeah, I think that stop's going to be coming sooner rather than later. You don't often see Race Day have genuine grip struggles. And as you can see on these medium tires, that car is really struggling to pick up traction. As into the pit lane is Scorsy. Only 10 laps on the hard tires. What will he do here? Race Day, will he have a look here at Lancey in towards turn 1? Let's wait and see. Oh, yes, he is. What a dive from Race Day. Goodness me. Wow, that was rather out of the blue, that. Brilliant move. Super gutsy. Maybe slightly unnecessary, but he's made it happen. Lancey defends the inside. Race Day defended the inside. Lancey kind of wanted to follow suit and was going to go into the back end of the Red Bull there, and the Mercedes, and the Racing Bull has eventually gotten his way back around the outside with DRS applied. 4.5 tenths. Ayahuasca behind Gottney Weeb for the second spot. So Scornsy went 10 laps on the hards, has pit again, this time for a fresh set of hards. And again, just 0.2 of a second in it between them. Between that of Race Day and Lancey, as Gunnar has unfortunately left the session. Two-tenth of a second. Race Day following in behind. That is Gottney Weeb being overtaken by Ayahuasca into the first corner. Race Day again, this time having a look at the outside. Bit of a lockup there on the inside from Lancey. Not quite close enough to make anything happen. I think that Racing Bull is going to have better acceleration there. It certainly appears as if he has. Nicky 64 now a tenner for spinning into the pit lane. A bit of a mix-up on the front end there as we got some positions changing between the Red Bulls. Scornsy's gotten down the inside of Shankadelic. Whether that was orchestrated or not, I'm not entirely sure. I don't believe it is. But as far as the constructors are concerned, yeah, that Red Bull team has locked up the Constructors' Championship well a ways ahead of the second-place team. And they will get themselves a nice little pat on the back for that. Always good to win a Constructors' title. Big slide on the back end that time from Race Day into Bico DePato. I think he's going to be probably stopping here quite soon. Although, not before he tries to have a look around the outside of Lancey. Lancey then defends the right side. And Race Day tried to kind of find his way underneath there. Didn't quite work. I think Race Day is definitely struggling on those medium tires. He'll be coming in here shortly. I'd be surprised if he didn't. And there goes Cam Tizzle in the pit lane. He will now serve his 10-second penalty on this stop. Which will be definitely quite a ways in the pit lane. Oh, and Scornsy's got the fastest lap now. 1:10.051. Gunnar appears to have rejoined. Cali Rob, a tenner for speeding in. 4.5 tenths between the top two here. Race Day has fallen a little bit outside that battle. Of course, Gottney Weeb is pulling some great time for 5 laps older tires than anybody else on the hards, and as well only still being 0.5 second behind Scorsy, oh, look at this! Scorsy up the inside of Race Day. We didn't even see that these two were that close together. We were looking at Race Day was going to potentially have a move at Lancey, and suddenly Scorsy comes out of nowhere and is looking to make this one happen. And I think it's going to be a little bit shy, but trying to go up the inside that, going up the hill, that's an insane place to try to make a move. And in fairness to him, he's almost done it, but not quite. And I think, again, with 10 laps to go with the line this time by, we got to look for Race Day to stop here. Potentially another set of mediums, if available. And no, Race Day hasn't stopped. As Scorsy now looking for the second one. It's going to be a double here for Scorsy if he makes it happen, and yes, he does. Overtook Race Day before the starting line, got Lancey in towards turn 1. Great move there from Scorsy. Back up to second. 2/10 of a second now, Race Day to Lancey, and he's going to fall behind just a little bit here, as we've got a flurry of drivers entering the pit lane. Gottney Weeb, Cam Tizzle, and Fire Up Flow, as well as Shariah, have all done their job. Cam Tizzle exits in 8th after having stopped. Not bad, considering the 10-second penalty that he did have and had eventually served. Yeah, not a bad look for him at all things considered. Good-looking battle here at the back. Gunner and Element right close to each other. Back on throttle they go. Way down to the inside. Gunner's going to have a look. Of course, Element's still ailing with no front wing on the left side, and Gunner appears to have made that one. Yes, he has. Ryan Mosser's now going to tenor, speeding in the pit lane. Tenth of a second now, Race Day still to the back end of Lancey, and we're still surprised that Race Day hasn't stopped yet. 11-lap-old medium tires, that's pretty much longer than anybody that we've seen take those mediums. And you can tell he is still struggling to keep any sort of grip. And Shankadelic at the outscores Fire Up Flow by 8 points. He will have second in the championship, which is huge. Oh, big slide for Race Day. Yeah, he's got to stop here. There's no way. That car is several handfuls to drive right about now. That's actually allowed Shankadelic into the picture here, by the way. Just the slipping and sliding around. Shankadelic started this lap about a second behind that of Race Day. It's now down to 4/10. I think Race Day, this will be the lap that he decides to stop. Yes, it will. Race Day into the pit lane. Oh, nearly hitting the barrier there on the inside. Oh, a bit late on the brakes. I'm not sure he's going to make it. Oy, that was close. Wow, that was definitely close there. Pit lane and another set of mediums, that for Race Day. We kind of expected that to be the case. Of course, he started the race on the hard tire, so hard, medium, that for Race Day and his eventual trip to the crown here. I think he's got a half a second behind that of Houdini. He's got a hell of a run on the Haas here. Not going to have it quite yet, but in through turn 1. Going to depend on the acceleration out of the Senna S's, and I think the Haas might have it. 4/10 of a second, let's see. DRS activated for the Alpine. Closing in, trying the outside. That's good defense there by Houdini. Never going to allow him to have that one, as we had a yellow flag there temporarily. I believe that was that either Lancey or Shankadelic? Somebody had a slight off there in through Bico de Pato. Four tenths between Houdini and Nicky. We now have 3/10 of a second between the leaders. Of course, is Lancey into the pit lane now. Of course, he's got the tenor to serve. 15-lap old hards for Ayahuasca. Scorsy on the 6-lap old hards. He won't have to stop again. Scorsy looking to take the win here. 3/10 of a second the gap, and nope, nothing going to happen this time. Fire Up Flow. This is big here. He's got to get any position that he possibly can. This will put him up to 9th. And, of course, the penalty for Kelly Robb will put him 8th. 8th to 3rd. The current gap between Shankadelic and Fire Up Flow, 52 for third place, 40 for eighth. As it stands, Shankadelic will take second in the championship. Huge if true for Shankadelic. He's a very quick driver as well. As now side by side, Travis Scott and Lancey. Lancey actually way off to the inside there. That car was invisible there momentarily. Not really sure what's happened. Shankadelic has gotten around Ayahuasca as Ayahuasca into the pit lane. Well, that was, you know, I'd have expected something. Medium tires going on for Ayahuasca. He'll exit the pit lane now. That'll put Shankadelic back up to second. And the more the things change, the more they stay the same. The Red Bull's back on top, as they've done all season long. The two most, I'd say, consistent drivers on the grid. Of course, not many wins between them. I think Scornsy had 2. Shankadelic, I don't believe, had any, but he's had a great season. 5/10 of a second, Cali Rob back to Cake. This time by will be 5 laps to go in the 16th season of Midwest F1. And what has been a phenomenal season. Again, it's a shame I haven't quite been around long enough to see this one happen as well, with having the baseball job and whatnot pretty much taking up any day of the week, really. Now that the baseball season's over for the minor leagues, I am proud to get back into the comms box here in Midwest. 3/10 of a second. Ayahuasca to the back end of Cam Tizzle. Cam Tizzle can rebound here to a top 5. That'd be great for him. Started 4th, obviously. Around the outside, Ayahuasca up to 4th. I think if Cam Tizzle can get 5th, I think he should probably settle for that, as well as the 10-second penalty that he did have. Kind of expected him to lose a little bit more. And for what it's worth here, 5th place. Of course, 6-lap old medium is going to be a little bit of a task to get those to the end. Lancey fastest lap, 109.852. Five-tenths of a second, Lancey to the back end of Nicky. Nicky way down to the inside. Look at the pace that the Racing Bull has around the outside. That was a ridiculous amount of straight line speed there. Nicky's not even been left a chance. Have a quick look back here for the battle for 7th. Of course, Cali Rob as well, with the 10-second penalty. So he'll be dropping at least 2 or 3 positions here. That'll actually promote Houdini within the top 10. That's a good look for him. Lancey 2.5 tenths to the back end of Houdini here. Ayahuasca will snap back with the fastest lap of his own, 109.489. See if Lancey can make something happen here at Houdini, potentially. Checking around the outside, and wow, again, the pace of that Racing Bull in the straight line is insane. Of course, DRS is obviously there, but even still, he has flown past. When there's a lot of times today where we've seen cars be in a 1v1 situation like this and just haven't really been able to find the speed enough to cleanly or calmly overtake the car ahead. I mean, that was all of the above there for Lancey. As easy does it to be able to get around Houdini. And it's got a bit of a mix-up towards the back here. Gunner to the inside of Travis Scott in through turn 4. He'll go up to 14. Of course, Houdini not quite done yet with the Dutchman here, potentially. 9-lap-old hard tires to the 3-lap old medium. Well, never mind. Unfortunately, I don't think that tire gap is in favor there of Houdini. Next time by at the line, 3 laps to go as we got a yellow flag. Somebody has gone off there. I don't quite know what that was, actually. Nicky 64 has, is this the same battle that we just had? Yeah, Nicky 64 has gotten around Houdini. I think Houdini may have had an off there, because Houdini was trying to get to the back end of Lancey. Nicky is now up in 11. Something's happened there with Houdini. We're not rightly sure what the case is with that, but looks like he's not hit anything and we're good to go. Fire Flow trying to get the spot on Cali Rob here. I think for Fire Flow, he's got to finish at least 7th here. to have a chance. I think that's got to be the big thing. Because realistically, he's not in position to get around Cake Thomas unless does Cake have some sort of miraculous incident. See, assuming if he was to finish 7th, that's 42 points to the second place, 55. That is still 13 points. That would not be enough for Fire Up Flow to keep it. Three laps to go here in this 16th Division 1 season. What a season that it has been, and we are a couple of laps away from crowning Race Day 2016, 5th title and 4th on the bounce. It's been an insane turn of events for him, as that is Fire Up Flow getting around Cali Rob, and now only 0.8 of a second behind Cake. As well as Houdini again, trying his best to get up to Nicky here. It's not quite going to happen. Pretty good race today. Action up and down the grid. Not a whole lot of incidents either. Just a couple of cars spinning there on lap 1 as it usually goes. No safety car, no virtual safety car. Clean as a whistle this one. And honestly, that's what we like to see as well. You know, you'd rather see a race, as much as sometimes a safety car can really shake things up and make a race interesting, it is better to see the race kind of find its natural way about here. Now, this is quite interesting because Fire Up Flow is actually within 0.6 of a second of Cake Thomas. Now, again, as it stands, Shankadelic comes into this one 7 points behind. That a Fire Up Flow needs to outscore him by 8. The current gap is 55 to 40. Gotta be outscoring Fire Up Flow by 15, even if Fire Up Flow gets P7. Only outscoring him by 13 at that point, and will still be second place for the championship for Shankadelic. The Red Bulls, again, have locked up the constructors. They are ahead by quite a lot and will be again here. Ayahuasca could have a look at Gotney Weeb. Gotney Weeb has actually gotten really close today to being able to get himself into that battle for second. I think he is going to end up finishing fourth. I don't believe he's outscoring Fire Up Flow enough to make that one happen. I believe it will be 4th in the title for Gotney Weeb. Fire Up Flow will be demoted to 3rd. Of course, as we've mentioned, race day at the top spot. And here we go. Final lap of the Grand Prix about to get underway here for Scornsy. Ayahuasca, and then a couple of tenths of Gotney Weeb here for the 3rd spot. Ayahuasca to not be on the podium would be slightly a shock, wouldn't it? Considering having started on pole, of course, lost both, went down to 3rd off the start. And he'll get it back here. Of course, having went down to 3rd off the start, we don't, again, exactly know why Ayahuasca had dropped like a rock as quick as he did on that opening lap. But he's battled back to 3rd, and that's a good result for him. I think he'll be obviously wanting the win here, but having Shankadelic finished 2nd and Scornsy, of course, the Red Bull lock, the Red Bull 1st and 2nd lockout that it looked like it was going to be in quali. And race day now around the outside of Can Tizzle. Oh, look at this. That's a bit of argy-bargy, isn't it? Okay. A little scary, a little sketchy. One could have ended poorly. But Scornsy making his way out of Junsao for the final time. Scornsy has spent so many years, so many seasons, considered as the outright GOAT of Midwest F1. I think there's going to be a lot of drivers in Midwest that still believe that to be true. I certainly think it's there. Scornsy will win the Brazilian Grand Prix. Shankadelic will come home to finish 2nd in the championship after this one. Coming across the line, he will finish 2nd. Great for him. But the real story is race day. 4 titles on the bounce. His 5th overall. Getting into the greatest of all time conversation in Midwest. Race day 2016. Champion of the Midwest for the 4th season in a row and the 5th all time. And he has thoroughly deserved it. In a season which, in the first half, really did not look to be going his way, he came back, has made it such an impressive streak of races. Was that 6 wins on the season for him? He's done everything he's needed to do to lock up the title once again. Firmly grasped it, firmly deserved it. The Red Bull team has won the Constructors' title. Race day, your driver's champion. Shankadelic 2nd in the title. Fire Up Flow drops to 3rd. Gotney Weeb, I believe, will be 4th. Race Day 2016, however, once again, the flowers are deserved and have been given. Because this guy is special when it comes to racing virtual F1 cars. And so the final results of the season. It is that of Scornsy taking the win. Shankadelic second. First and second for the Red Bull team. Ayahuasca third. Fourth for Gotney Weeb. Fifth Cam Tezel. Sixth for Race Day. Seventh Cake. Eighth Fireflow. Ninth Lancey. 10th Houdini. 11th Cali Rob. 12th is Shariah. 13th Gunner. 14th Nikki. 15th Element. 16th Travis Scott. Rounding out the grid, Brian Mosser in P17. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us yet again for another season of Midwest F1 Hotspot. It has been a pleasure joining you, albeit when I can this season. It's not as much as I would have liked to. But again, thrills and spills all season long. Brilliant stuff once again from these lads. And we can't wait for Season 17. Thank you all for joining us. It's been an incredible 5 years here in Midwest, and we're only just getting started. For now, we'll see you next time.